All right, everyone. Welcome to again to the Angry Asian Uncle podcast. I am your host, Reynold, and my co-host.
Hey, it's Vic. So today I'm actually busting out the good microphone again and showing my face because we have a special
Wow.
guest
We have yes,
just
we
for
have
you,
us.
just for you.
Oh, just just for our special guest. He usually is hiding in the dark.
Yeah, I don't normally show my face, but for today, I'm making an exception.
Wow. Definitely a special episode here. So we have Brian as our guest. So Brian, can you introduce yourself?
Thanks for having me on, and it is a special time to be able to see Vic's beautiful mug out there. Uh, my name is
Likewise.
Brian. My name is Brian. I live in Hawaii, originally from the Philippines as well, just like Vic, and looking forward to spending the time with you guys. And as we say in Hawaii, let's talk story.
Yeah, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I've got my drink prepared. This is gonna be
Yeah.
You,
good.
you, you want to have a drink.
No, so a little
Oh,
bit of context for all the listeners. Brian and I have been Well, we were classmates back in the day, since grade school. So we've known each other for a long time. We've known each other for like 30 plus years or so. We haven't always kept in touch, but through the years, we would just say hi, hello to each other on Facebook and just, make sure everybody's okay. So it's a treat for me.
yes. Yeah, I'm so surprised actually after hearing that. Been how many years has it been?
30 something years, like we were classmates. I think it was in grade five, grade three. I don't know. It's just like all the
No,
way
I would
back.
say grade five.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. That's open. I find it yeah, I don't know about you guys, but as we grow older, the friends we have, we hang out a little bit less. Like I have grade school friends that still live in a relatively close radius to me, but we never hang out anymore.
Yeah, people sort of drift away, right? As
Yeah.
we get older.
I
And then everyone's busy with family and kids and whatnot. But yeah, we always say, right, even if we do talk or text, we always say, yeah, let's get together. We got to find some time to get together. And then another year comes by, and then like, oh yeah, yeah, let's try to get together again. And then another year goes by.
Yeah,
But I think it depends on those types of friends, though. Like for example, with Vic and I, even if we haven't spoken or seen each other for 38 years, just because you had that connection from grade school, right? Once you talk, there's really it doesn't seem like there's something in between. Like I've had a couple of friends also from high school and from grade school who's actually come to Hawaii to visit, and when we hang out, it's just it you just hey, you grew older, but when you talk, it's like it's almost like no time has passed, except that you just became more mature and stuff like that. But like that openness between you that you would expect from somebody that you've never spoken with for decades is really not there, especially because you had that connection for so long.
yeah, you just pick up
Yeah.
from where you left off. I think that's very much true if you were classmates from when you were kids. You don't feel that kind of distance as compared to like friends you make when you're already out in the world, right? It's like workplace
Right.
Yes.
friends are different from people you met in school.
Yes.
The people you met in school, your buddies when you were little. When you see each
Yeah.
other again for so many years, you just kind of pick up from where you left off, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because
No. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
because these were like our formative years, right? Even like I would consider that I would trust my I don't know if trust is the right word, but I feel closer to my grade school and high school friends versus my university friends, right? Just because it's different. When you're
Yeah,
in
yeah,
university, like
I
what
Different.
agree.
Vic said,
Yeah.
you're yeah, you're old already, you're mature already, or it's different.
That's
You're an
that's
adult.
true. That's
I guess
true.
because as kids, you don't really need each other financially, right? It's like you have no ulterior motive. You're just
No.
kids. right?
That's
So
true.
that kind of trust is different from people you met as an adult, right? Because you're not sure as an adult if people have other reasons for being friends with you, aside from just wanting to be friends. Whereas when you're
Mhm.
kids, you've seen each other pick their noses, right?
Right.
Throw up or pee
Right.
or poop
Exactly.
their pants. It's like
Oh
if you've
man.
known each other that way, it's like, well, there's nothing to hide, right? I've seen you
Oh yeah.
Right.
poop.
There's yep.
And then you know their moms too. Their parents, their
Yeah,
moms and
yeah,
dad. Well, especially especially their moms, right? They're like, oh, wait, I know your mom. Well, I know your mom too. It's like,
yeah.
we can't get away from that.
Like it's harder to bullshit each other,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
If you've known each other since you were kids.
Yes,
No, I
exactly.
guess the more important point is you sort of think that there's no point to bullshit because it doesn't matter what you say to each other. You're really
Yeah,
not gonna. You're not. There's no fear of judgment between the both of you.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So, but here's a question though. So why does it get harder to find this kind of relationships as you get older? Because I'm always trying to search for that magic, right? And it feels
Well,
like it got left behind in grade school. Like, it's harder to find that kind of connection with people you meet later on in life.
that
Um, I I don't think it's really is a question. I guess it's something that I sometimes ask myself. Is it really a need? Do I really need that connection? As like when we were in high school, we used to go out every Saturdays and every Wednesdays because it's half day for us, right? But
Yeah.
now I'm not sure if I look for that as much as I know I'm connected to that person. Because as we get, what I realized is as I got older, it's not so. If I have to decide between that connection and that idea, the idea of fun is very different. For us, it was fun before, right? But my idea of fun right now is more of peace. So as
Oh,
long as
spoken
I,
like a true uncle. Oh my God.
no.
Like
so
we're so old. Us oldies.
I mean, but that's true for anything, though, right? I don't need to. I don't want to go out and party.
Right.
I just want to. I mean, I just want some peace, So that
Oh, that's so
once
true.
in a while, hang out just to get that social aspect out. That's fine,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But at the same time, like what we were talking about is as we get older, especially as an uncle, you know, you start feeling bad, you're depressed or you're lonely. You start to learn how to deal with it yourself.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Go
yeah.
true
find
for
a solution.
everybody. I think being an older uncle, older gentleman, like you just have to learn how to deal with your own insecurities, your own issues, right? It's important
Hmm.
to talk to someone once in a while. But then I agree with you. Like I find myself just I don't need it as often anymore. Like every once in a while, I like to connect with some people, meet them outside socially. But then I fill up pretty quickly. Like I don't need to do it 3, 4 days in a row. Like I'll meet someone
Right.
once a week and I'm good. Pretty antisocial.
Right. Yes, yes. Just chill at home. That's my thing now.
Are you saying it's partially our fault for not being able to find this kind of relationship because we're getting grumpier and we're getting, more and more like we're turning into
Everything
it's
everything bothers
partially our
us,
fault.
right? I think like everything bothers us. So we just like, no, I'm just gonna do my own thing then.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I was just talking to my wife about this last night. And then I told her that I don't know, I just feel like I don't need to see people as often anymore. I'm happy. I need, like what Brian said, I just want peace. Like
Right.
more than anything, I just wanted it to be quiet and peaceful, just like a smooth sailing day, But with kids, especially if they're younger, there's
Mhm.
no they don't really know when is the right or wrong time to approach dad, right? They would just like come to you with their knees, like, hey dad, help me draw something. I need to draw a lion. Need to
Right.
draw a giraffe. Like I need to do this, do that. Oh, let's play with me. Like I want to play video games. I want to do this. Oh, let's shoot ball or something. So
Yeah.
like kids don't really have that filter or like that sense of timing, right? So
Right.
and I find it that's the hardest part about parenting for me. I'm just talking about myself. Is that I'm a person who I need to recharge my batteries before I can deal with you again. But then kids, they don't really give you that time to recharge. So they just keep coming. They just keep coming, right? And then you get upset and your blood pressure goes up and you start losing hair, right? And but it's
Right,
not really their fault. You can't really be upset at them because they're just being kids, right?
right.
So, like what Brian said, it's just about you having to find some way to deal with it yourself. I'm still struggling, by the way. It's not like I found a solution for all that. So,
Oh, yeah. But maybe it's also because kids are innocent or naive or whatever you want to say. They don't know about the bad part of the outside world,
yeah, I
and
think it's partially it. Yeah.
but as grown uncles, we know there's bad people out there. I mean, there's good and bad, and then there's people that you got to put up walls and filter out and everything. It gets uh, it gets so tiring that sometimes, like I just sometimes I feel like I don't want to deal with all that. I don't want to filter myself. I don't want to have to put up walls to, this and that. It's like a whole, this whole ordeal that you have to go through just to go out and meet people or see
Yeah, we try
people.
to shield them from the worst of the world, right?
Yeah.
So speaking of that, let me pivot a little bit. Wanted to ask Brian, so what's it like raising a son in Hawaii? What's life like in Hawaii? Do you have to do that a lot? Do you have to shield them from a lot of the bad stuff in the world until they're a little bit more mature? What's it like living in Hawaii?
The good thing about, I think, living in Hawaii is we're very isolated. So we're literally in a rock in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, right?
Yeah.
So anything that happens in what we call the mainlands, in the contiguous United States, our culture is very different. Interestingly enough, Hawaii is not like the not like the mainland where it's a melting pot of cultures. Like if you went to, like, for example, where Reynold lives in Diamond Bar, it's a Chinese area. So
Yeah.
you get Chinese culture over there. If you go to a certain area, there's more Korean. In Hawaii, it's literally a melting pot. It's, you know,
Uh,
you can go to Chinatown and you'll find Filipino, Vietnamese, all the cultures in one area. So there isn't really, even though we do have like a certain Korean town or Chinatown, or a place where we expect more Filipinos to be in, it's it's really all mixed up. And so one of the things, touching on what we were talking about, is one of the things that I really appreciate about being in Hawaii is that it's very family oriented,
oh, that's good.
very family oriented. So there's not a lot of the typical Western culture. American culture is very individualistic,
Oh,
but that's much less pronounced in Hawaii. And so if you remember, I don't know if you both guys watched Lilo and Stitch, but the
Yeah.
concept of
Mhm.
Ohana is family. Family means nobody gets left behind. It's really pretty heavy over here.
oh,
So
okay.
it's really very you know, you they the kids grow up learning that you have to be considerate of others.
Wow. That's great.
So
Okay.
Those are good
so it's
values.
it's it's
Yeah.
very different in that
Right.
sense.
Right.
But obviously, with any place, there's always going to be like things that you're a little bit iffy on. There's always going to be
Oh,
those things. But I think that goes for everywhere. But generally speaking, that's what I appreciate about Hawaii. That, especially with a younger child, where you don't really want him to be exposed to those bad things.
yeah,
At
it
least
sounds almost
he's
Asian, right? In a lot of ways,
it,
guys.
it is. So
Yeah.
actually in Hawaii, our biggest ethnic group is actually not Caucasians. Our biggest ethnic group is actually Japanese.
Oh, okay.
So the Caucasians, the white people, are minorities in Hawaii, basically.
Interesting. Interesting. But what about the practical aspects of raising a child in Hawaii? Does it get expensive?
it does get super expensive because you have to remember that everything in Hawaii, we don't produce anything here, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah, so everything needs to be flown in. Like,
Ah,
right, right.
okay.
That
so
adds to the
every
cost.
time there's like a
Yeah.
hurricane coming or like
Mhm.
when COVID hit, you can't
Yeah.
find tissue, you can't find toilet paper even in Costco.
Wow.
Oh wow.
So everything is flown in. Our, even like milk, we I think we only have one producer of milk here.
Oh, wow. So that's a downside of living in a small,
Yeah.
geographic land
And then
mass.
taxes are high, right? Isn't there like high sales tax?
So so the way that our taxes work is a little bit different. So like in California, if you bought food, for example, if you bought
Right.
rice or if you bought medicine, they don't put sales tax on those. For
Right.
us, we have something called the general excise tax, which
Oh,
means you're taxed on every single thing.
wow.
Oh
So
man.
so so if you went to buy medicine, that's taxed at the same rate. You buy food, that's taxed at the same rate. You go see your doctor, his service, you still have to put taxes on it. So everything
Oh,
on
Wow.
everything, as long as there's a transaction,
there's
Uh-huh.
the
there's a tax on it.
There's a tax. Man,
Wow.
that's tough. That is tough. Oh,
So
you
are you
got to
saying
think.
So
that taxes in Hawaii are on average higher than other states in the US?
I'm not sure if it's a tax that's really hurting you as much as just the fact that we live on an island, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, everything's expensive.
so
Yeah.
right, everything's expensive because
Right.
like even there's no way a regular person will be able to buy property over here because there's
Oh,
only so much land.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we got we
True.
got like condos which are like over $1 million, you
Oh,
know.
wow.
And then we got
Yeah,
some
yeah, some
condos
more,
which
more
is
than
we have condominiums that go up to like $15 million.
man.
So
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
In a
Real
lot of
estate.
ways, though, what you said reminds me of life in Taiwan. Because it's like, I guess all small land masses share some of the same issues, right? Because it's not like in the mainland. Like we were just talking about this a couple hours ago with our other guests, that
Yes.
in continental USA, you have so much land, right? That's so big, and that you can pretty much find your niche. Yeah, if you're from the city and you want to become a farmer, you can always go to Montana, like our guest was saying yesterday.
Yeah.
Find yourself a nice farmland and
That's right.
be a woodsman, right? And be a farmer, right? You can do
Right.
that. You can pivot. But in smaller places where land is such a scarcity, you really don't have that much choice. And if you want to do those things, it requires way more resource. Like you need a lot more money to just do the same things. I think that's one of the downsides of island life, right?
right, and so on that in that vein, one of the problems that we have here in Hawaii is because you speak about Hawaii and everybody thinks it's like paradise and everything. So what happens is a lot of people, both from the mainland and rich people from all over the world, come into Hawaii and buy up the land, right? These are rich people
Mm.
wealthy people who buy the property and don't even stay in it. They'll use it as a vacation home or or
Mm.
or something like that. So that actually raises the property values for people
Well,
over
that's
here
a
who
real
really
issue for locals like you.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it makes these
that is
homes
a
very
huge issue,
unaffordable. Yeah.
right? So like just think about like Gary Ellison, the guy who owns Oracle, who founded
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oracle.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
owns an entire island of Lanai.
Wow. I mean, he's freaking rich. So, but hey, Reynolds, this is interesting. It's kind of like what we talked about in a previous episode, like Vancouver or places in Taiwan. Like you
Right.
actually have to be rich already to enjoy the country, right?
Yes.
Like it's not really a place you go if you want to make it big or like be an entrepreneur, earn shitloads of money. It's more of like it's a good place to stay because the place is beautiful, culture is good if you have the money, right? You just
Yeah.
go to
Exactly.
retire or you go to just spend, you send your kids there, you're already loaded. Some places in
Yes,
the world are like that, right? You gotta have the dough if you want to live there.
that's true. But what if so my question would be, because Brian was saying these are people with money that came in after the fact, right? So after this picture of paradise was painted into our brains, and they said, "Oh, I'll take my money and I go buy vacation homes and build up resorts in Hawaii." So, what about the people that were originally there? That or the people are there that aren't rich. Like, how do they survive there?
So that's one of the biggest conflicts that they have over here.
Mhm.
Um, Most of the people who live here, like locals,
Right.
there's just no way for them to be able to purchase property anymore because it's just so expensive.
Okay.
What do they do? Most of the time, it's our Costco. Let me put it this way: our Costco is
Hmm.
the highest grossing Costco in the entire United States. And there's a
Oh,
reason for that. There's
okay.
a reason for that. The reason for that is most of our homes over here are multi-generational. So
Ah,
Oh,
it's not like in the mainland where you hit 18, you move out of the home,
right.
you look for your own way. Over
Hmm.
here, you will see multi-generation. You'll see the grandparents, the
Uh-huh.
parents, and the kids who have their own kids living in a single family home.
that's so Asian. Again, that's so Asian,
Yeah.
right?
It
Yeah.
is Asian, but I'm not sure if that's because it's so Asian or it's just because of the reasons we talked about. It's just that there's no way for them
Right,
Economics.
to
right.
Yeah.
go out and be able to purchase stuff themselves. So whenever
Right.
you go to Costco, they're like buying for the entire family.
Oh, I see.
Oh. But I
So
think
they
that's
really buy wholesale.
oh, I said, I mean, I think that same way is sometimes in Taiwan, right, Vic? I mean, because of nowadays the young people can't afford the homes in Taiwan too,
Yeah,
or
nobody can
many
afford a
places in
home these
Asia.
days. Yeah, so
And
expensive.
then
Yeah.
people are living like that too. Just everyone squeezed into a house,
Yeah, I think young
I'm
multi
people
curious.
can
generations.
afford their own place. Either their parents bought it for them when they got married. It's like what as a gift, right?
Right.
Dowry or maybe like just a present for the newlywed couple. Parents on either side would gift them an apartment just to get their life started. Usually they get it that way, or like it's really from a rich family, like you already
Yeah.
have multiple homes, you can just choose one and stay in. But for most
Yeah.
people who just try to like make a living and try to pay the mortgage to a
Hmm.
house, more and more people are getting squeezed out. You can't really find something that's affordable in the city. You have to move out somewhere to the edges or maybe move to a
Right.
different town. But then that conflicts with where you're working. So that means that commuting time just increases exponentially for you, right? Maybe you would have to drive for 40, 50 minutes, maybe even an hour just to get to work. So I mean for Taiwan, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
some places like the US are like, what, 50 minutes? That's nothing, right? It's like,
Right.
so what?
Yeah.
But no,
Right.
for Taiwan,
Exactly.
that's a big deal, because it's not a huge place. To drive that far means the place is pretty far from where you
Yeah, that's true.
That's for
Right.
most that's mostly true for mostly developed countries though, right? But that my question for that is tying those two together about our last topic about kids and having this how do you live? How do you see that playing into people like in Taiwan has a negative population growth right now? Do you
Yeah, it's
see
tanking. Oh, yeah,
do,
we were talking
do,
about this last night. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
do you see yourself, do you see Taiwan getting to a point where you'll be selling Akias just like Japan is?
yeah. And it's not just Taiwan too. I think it's most of East Asia, right? Japan,
Right.
Korea, all the
Korea.
developed
Yeah.
Asian countries, even China,
Even
population
China.
is tanking.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to have kids because it's just so expensive, right? And then
That's
even
true.
if you
Yeah.
do, like one kid, but that's not enough to
Right.
sustain the population, right? I think on
That's
average you
not
need like 2.5 kids to sustain population for any given country. So one kid
right.
is just not enough. Yeah, it's a real issue. There's really no easy answers. I don't know, but here's okay. Well, we'll come back to that. But I'm curious though, like, so knowing what you know about Hawaii now, but then why? How did you end up in Hawaii in the first place? I never even asked you that. So you say we both grew up in the Philippines. We We studied there, we graduated. But how did you end up in Hawaii of all places?
So I actually, if you did not know, I actually took 2 years of university in the Philippines. I was actually in UST, University of
Okay,
Santo Tomas, for two
okay.
years. And this might be a very weird story, but after 2 years, my mom was during that time was talking to this psychic or some some god. You know how
That's not
old
weird at all.
Chinese.
That's very Asian. Just check
Yeah,
out our
right.
Yeah,
episode about temple culture in Taiwan. No, I totally
right.
understand.
Fortune
Right.
fortune
So you know how,
tellers.
yeah, they would go to this temple
Yeah,
and
hello.
they
You're talking
talk
to
to the
Asian uncles here. Of
right.
course. Totally legit
They
reason to move to
That
Hawaii.
makes so
Sure.
much sense, right?
Yeah.
right, they
Don't
would
even have to
talk.
explain it.
Right. They spoke with this same god or spirit that went into this person. They didn't have any knives dancing like you guys did have in Taiwan though, but what
Yeah.
they got was saying that, hey, Brian needs to get out of the Philippines. He won't be doing well here,
Mm,
and
I
they said
see. I
they
see.
told they that's what they told my mom, and it turned out that during that time I actually had cousins who lived in Hawaii, and so
Oh,
my so
okay.
my mom went to my uncle and my aunt and asked him, what, would it be okay for you to try to bring him there to Hawaii where my cousins were, and have him start school over there. And during that time they were here, right? So that time was a dot-com boom. So
Oh,
then that's when I came over here. But then you know what happened after the dot-com boom? There was a
yeah.
dot-com
Yeah.
bust.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so so, so after 2 years, they had to change jobs and they had to go to the mainland to find jobs.
And then you ended
And
up staying in Hawaii.
because I just started my school, I'm not going to lose
Yeah, yeah,
4 more
you're right,
years,
right.
right? And
It's true.
and during that time, that's around the time that I also met my wife.
Uh,
And, so I had the reason to stay as well.
what was
And
she doing in Hawaii? Like she's Taiwanese. Like why did she move to Hawaii?
she was an international student in my university.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
So,
smart. Like,
so during that time, our the way that I met her was pretty interesting. I tell people that I actually owe my wife to the bus company.
hmm.
And that's because during the time that she came here on her second day, it turned out that the bus company was on strike.
Oh,
And
okay.
on the second day, during that time, I was actually working for the school. I was the one who's taking photos of all the new students.
Okay.
Okay.
And so when she came after everything was done, at the end of the day, I was just hanging out in front of the office, and she passed by and she saw that I was the one who took her picture, and I guess I looked semi trustworthy then. So she asked me, "Hey, what should I, which bus should I take to go back to my dorms?" And I told her, you know, I was young then, so I had raging hormones back then. So I so so I told her, you know what, the bus is on strike right now, but if you're open, I can take you home.
You
And so I don't, I'm
totally
There
not,
you go.
I,
dangle this card on
so
her. Like, yeah, I'm
I was
trustworthy.
smooth.
I have a
Yeah.
camera. Look at me.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
I'm not sure if it was a good decision on her part, but she said yes, and here we are.
The rest is
Right.
history, right?
Oh, that's a good
Oh my
story.
gosh.
Right.
I could just imagine the conversation she had with her parents before studying in Hawaii. Like they'd probably be asking her, so, hey, we have all this budget for you to study abroad. Where would you like to go? And she's thinking to herself, like, oh, I want to go to Hawaii. It's, all like you said, it's paradise,
Right.
beach, and all this image we have of Hawaii. Of all the
Mhm.
places I can go, I want to go to Hawaii. I can just imagine that conversation.
Most
It's
of the
pretty.
time, people when they come over here with those kinds of impressions, it's not actually, usually more often than not, it does not turn out so well. And so
I guess
that
you
is
find out the
also
hard way.
right.
Right.
That is one of the reasons why we have a huge homeless problem over here.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of people from the mainland usually say, "Oh, you know what? Let me go to Hawaii. I'll figure stuff out when I get there." And
End up being
they
homeless.
right, because they end up
Yeah,
they bring money over here, but it goes away so fast that
yeah, yeah.
they don't realize that. But then and then we also have some instances where governments from other cities in the mainland actually give these people plane tickets to come to Hawaii and be homeless
Really?
over here.
Wow. Okay.
Because where's the best part to
What I
be
hear is
homeless?
that you can tell me if this is true or not. That many locals in Hawaii are actually moving to the mainland because property prices are so unaffordable in Hawaii itself. So they're moving to places like Texas, just places where, yeah, property still like within reach. Is that true?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true because there's
Oh,
just
wow.
no way to it's it's extremely hard to make it over here.
Wow.
Extremely
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
So the fact that you and your wife decided to stay, but why did you decide to stay though? I mean, given what we know now that everything's expensive, why did you guys decide to stay?
I think it's priorities more than anything, right? Because like me and my wife, it's not like we've never been to the mainland. We've been to California, we've been to New York, we've been to
Hmm.
Chicago. We have to been major metropolises, and it's just different. It's hard for us to live over there just because we've grown used to the lifestyle over here.
Yeah, so
For
like at the
for
end of the
us,
day,
Yeah.
being in Hawaii is still something close to your heart, so you try to make it work
Mhm.
because
right?
you you,
It's
you
just
still
it
feel
just
at
yeah.
home in Hawaii.
Right. It's just that when we go, not to diss on the big cities, but it's just much more personal over here. It's much easier
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
it's a small town feeling, even though it's a big city.
At the end of the day,
Yes.
I think it's just a cost issue, really. Like if cost wasn't a factor, of course you'd want to live in Hawaii, right? Why
Right.
not? Like you said, people have a sense of community. It's beautiful. Oh, how's the weather like? Must be nice all year round, right?
Yeah, pretty much we have two seasons. It's either springish, it's not the rainy season and the non-rainy season.
Also kind of
And
like the
our
Philippines. Not sure
Right.
you're not
And
used
but
to.
the difference is our rainy season isn't like the rainy season in the Philippines where you get floods and the
And
rain is like
typhoons and stuff.
cats
Yeah.
and dogs. Our
Yeah.
rain is a drizzle. That's pretty much it.
It sounds like paradise indeed. I mean, speaking of typhoon, there's one in the Philippines right now as we
Yeah,
speak, and
there is one right
here in
now.
Taiwan. Yeah. People are suffering because of that, right? So Hawaii, it's mild all year round. It's rainy, but it doesn't rain that much, or it's just kind of like spring season where it's nice and cool.
Yeah, it's more like a spring all year round. Of course,
Reynolds, I
summer
don't
it
care
does
what he
get
says. I still think it sounds like paradise. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I don't care what Brian
Yeah.
says. I think
Hey,
he's just
well,
trying
as
to
long as you
dissuade
have
us from
money,
going because
right?
there's too many people there. They want us, foreigners
Right.
out. Stay away from
Right.
Hawaii. This place is
Right.
ours.
It's too expensive. Don't come.
Don't come. It's paradise. Don't come. Don't
There's too
come.
many homeless. Don't come. Right?
right.
They're
And so
trying.
that's one of
Just
that's
joking.
actually funny because during COVID, that's one of the most painful things for Hawaii. It cut both ways for us because, like I said, Hawaii is so small. We don't produce anything here. The main lifeblood for Hawaii is tourism.
Oh,
Mm. That cuts
But
hard
at the
during COVID.
yeah,
Yeah.
but at the same time, locals don't really want over tourism. But
right.
Right.
a lot of locals, would prefer not to have it. Like, but at the same time, if you don't have it, how are we going to live, right?
It's a
It
curse
cuts
of
both
paradise. It's
ways.
the same issue
Y-
that Japan is facing right now.
Right.
At the same time, they want tourists because they make money from that. But at the same time, there's over tourism, which kind of bothers them, right? Because a lot of foreigners come and they don't respect the culture and then they make a mess of things. It's the same dilemma Japan is facing right now. Hawaii is a major holiday destination. So yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Everybody wants to.
That's a paradise problem, right, Reynold? That's
Yeah. Right.
people live in paradise, they have that problem. It's so beautiful here. People are
Yeah. It's so
on
nice
time.
here.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
too many people coming, bothering me too much.
Stay away, but do spend some money. Stay away,
Right.
but do some money. That's okay.
Right.
I guess you want
Just
them to come, but you don't want them to stay too long, and
Right?
yeah.
And that's what
become
we
a
always
burden
say
to society.
when we see tourists. Okay, thank you for coming. Spend your money. Goodbye. You know.
So at this point, do you feel more uh Chinese, Filipino, or Hawaiian, or even Taiwanese? Your wife is Taiwanese. You've been to Taiwan several times. So, what are you?
I think for all first generation immigrants, we really don't. I think I've heard some people talk about this that we don't really have an identity. Where
Yeah,
I'm no
that's
long
true.
I'm no longer like I wouldn't consider myself a Filipino. I wouldn't consider myself Chinese, and
Yeah,
I wouldn't fully consider myself an American either,
yeah.
right? It's very different from
So
like my son.
interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting. You're
Yeah,
like a mix of different things,
Out
right?
right.
in like a
You, you,
limbo
My
you
land.
son is born over here. He'll grow up as a local over here, right? He's
Mm.
from Hawaii, you know. Um, he's not there, but for us, it's always different. But we don't have a home to go to because my wife always told me that when she went back to Taiwan is when she speaks Chinese is people have no idea where she's from because her accent is
accent's all
weird
messed up,
already.
right?
It's
It's not really Taiwanese. It's not really this or that. It's like
right,
she can speak the language. I'm not exactly sure where she's from.
Right.
right, and because she's been with me for such a long time,
She gets a
and
little bit of that Filipino Chinese accent in there as
right.
well.
So her her Taiwanese is like mixed with Fukien accent already.
Oh,
Oh,
I think
So
those are
when
the
she goes
signs of the
back,
times, right, Brian? Like you'll see more and more people like that as the years go by. Like our kids, for example, you bring up a good point. They're not really from just any one culture. They're a mix of different influences, right? You just see more and more people like that as the years go by.
it is. I mean, and that's assimilation, right? I mean, that's what happens. We pour into him my culture, my
Yeah.
wife's culture, but then it's up to him whether he takes that in or not.
Well,
Like
here's the next follow-up question though, because we all have kids, and I'm curious to pick your brain on. So what do you think is going to happen to his generation? So he's in what grade is he in right now?
he's in second grade. He's 8 years old. So
Okay. So like all parents, we try to pave the way for our kids, make it just let a little bit easier for them when they get out into the world. What are your plans for him or for your family? Like, how do you pivot from here? How do you move forward from here? I'd love to hear that.
I think every parent has that problem, right? At least the parents who care about their kids. I think
Right, right, right. We
that's
care.
that's a
We're Asian.
that's a huge distinction though, because when he was born like 2.5 months early. He was a preemie.
Oh, it was a
So
preemie.
so
Okay.
so we actually stayed in the NICU, the new
Right,
intensive
right.
NICU for 2 months.
Oh,
And
wow. That
so
must have been so
so
nerve-wracking
you
for
have
you.
other
Yeah.
rooms over there, and you see other parents who, not to be judgmental, I didn't say who they are anyway, but you tend to see how much I cared about my son and how other parents don't really care.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the first things that went to my mind is I was telling my wife, you know, these are going to be the parents of our child's peers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how are we going to deal with this?
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. I think about the same issues. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so it, what answer did I come up with that? It's because at the same time, it's always a very hard mix, right? So right now he's 8, right? So I'm thinking that, okay, I've protected you for 7 years, 8 years now, right? At
Yeah.
what point, at what point in time do I let you feel real pain, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let
At
some
what
of the
point,
real world come in, right?
right?
Yeah.
Because as us Gen Xers, one of my friends from the Philippines who lives in California now, he sometimes comes over here for a visit, and we were just sitting down having a drink, and we were talking about it, And one of the things that he mentioned is, you know what, Pukes? If it was us, you take us when we were like 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old. You drop us in the middle of Mexico, in the middle of Argentina, or anywhere in the middle of nowhere where we have no idea. We
Mhm.
will find a way to go back, right?
Yeah, yeah,
We will
because
find, no matter what happens, we will survive and we'll find our way back. No
yeah,
matter,
that's all
Yeah.
you know,
fun. Yeah, I don't
we
know if
we
you
we,
pull that
we
off.
we'll probably be back with losing an arm, losing a leg,
But
but
we'll make it
we
back.
will
Yeah.
we will make it back. And then he
Right.
said, but you
Yeah.
know, man, I look at my daughter and I look at my son, and I'm I'm worried for them because I don't know if they have that ability.
Oh,
That's
that's true.
that's very
They don't.
true. Yeah.
I think we are the product of our times. We were left alone most of the time. We had to fend for ourselves, and so we grew up in a different time, tougher.
That's
But then, the generation before us would say the same thing. Like my parents would say, "Oh, you're all strawberries." You
right.
pressure, like back in my day.
Right.
But
We
yeah, I
had
mean
it
the kids
twice and
nowadays,
stuff.
right? Yeah, what will they do? That's why I'm interested to pick other parents' brains and see what they have in store for their kids. Yeah. At what point do you let the real world come in?
It's rough. It's a rough. I'm not sure if there is a right answer to that, right?
Yeah.
Because honestly speaking, are you going to? I guess my question is that sometimes I ask myself is just because he did not experience the same bullshit that I went through, does that make him less strong? I don't think so,
Exactly. I
right?
think about the same thing that you just said. Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe we should just let them be. They'll figure it out. They'll find their own way.
Right.
The
Maybe
Because
world's
all
it
the
always
doesn't.
bullshit we
changing.
went through, maybe not all of them were needed, right? Maybe some of the experiences that we went through, yes, it made us tougher, brought us to this point in life, made us who we are. But honestly, speaking, when I look back, some of the experiences, I don't think I really needed that. It just really gave me an experience, but I don't think it led to anything constructive. Yeah. So like for my kids, I don't worry so much. I just think that they have their own challenges anyway. It's not like the challenges won't come. It's life, dude. It will come one way or another. Like there's no
So,
way you can stop it, right? So just let them be and just let them know you love them. And hopefully they'll feel enough support to feel confident to face life, whatever it may bring,
Right. For me, it's like whenever something happens or if something, I always try to find a way or an opportunity to drop tidbits of wisdom that I know of.
right?
So even though it doesn't apply to them, at least when it does happen to them, it's something that they will remember.
It's like a
So
teachable
one,
moment. Teachable moment.
teachable.
right.
Yes.
So for example, for example, one of the things I think that I'm trying, that I really, really, really hope that my son would learn, that I try to drill into him every time, is that to be able to get something, to get what you want,
Mhm.
you have to accept that there's going to be pain.
Right.
So I
Great
told him,
advice.
Good
so
lesson.
so I so what I told him is, and that applies to everything. For
Mhm.
example, if he's watching somebody doing a skateboard or like in Taekwondo breaking boards or something like that, right?
Mhm.
Before you actually break the board, you have to accept that there's going to be some sort of pain.
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
don't accept, that pain, you're going to pull back and you won't be able to hit it. You won't be able to break it.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I really want to drill into him, because once you accept the pain, the rest is going to be easy.
Right. Right.
Very good.
How's he taking it though? Is he like, I don't know what you're talking about. I just want to watch cartoons. I just want to
Right?
play
No,
video
I
games.
so what I realize is these things you just have to keep on repeating, repeating, repeating. That's
Yeah.
our
Mhm.
job as
Drop them
parents.
when
It's
you
like,
can, right?
Yes.
The
right,
teachable moments when they come. Yeah.
right. So
Hopefully.
like at this age, they get excited so easy, and they get excited and they hurt themselves.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so one of the things that I keep on reminding him before he starts getting excited, I keep on telling him, what do I always tell you? And he right now he's starting to get it. He realizes that when emotions are high, intelligence is low.
Mm.
And so, he's starting to get that. So when he starts getting excited, one of the things that I also teach him is I'm not telling you not to get excited. We're human. I'm not
Right.
telling you to not get angry. I'm not telling you not to get sad, but it's important. So it's important to acknowledge those feelings, right? Once you know what you're feeling, you know that you're starting to get angry, for example. Once you're once you're aware of that feeling, you stop feeding it. Because if you
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
feeding anger, like you're angry with this one person, they hit you or something, you start feeding the anger when you say, well, this is not the first time, it happened last time too, right? And you start
Right.
feeding into it, and that emotion gets stronger. But once you start realizing that you're starting to get angry, you're able to control that, and you're able to say, you know what, I'm not going to feed this emotion anymore, and I'll be able to deal with it more logically. And that's where you stop being
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, that's good advice. See, Reynold, all that spiritual energy of Hawaii. See how that has
Right?
affected Brian? All these nuggets of
Wow,
wisdom dropping out of
I
him like
know.
nothing.
Oh my goodness, I
One
know.
truth bomb after another, right? It's
Oh,
the Hawaiian air.
I know. It's just we gotta maybe we could bottle that. Maybe Brian should bottle the air,
No,
sell
but
it
I
on
hear you, Brian.
Amazon.
Yeah, yeah. The Reynold as well. I think he thinks about this constantly right now. You think about this because
I
being a
had to.
father, young
Oh
child,
yeah, yeah.
thinking about
Well,
this
of
stuff.
course. I think all dads. I think I I guess at least most dads, right? Think about all the stuff Brian's saying. Like how do we teach them? How do we get them to understand? Because for my kid, he's on the spectrum, and I feel like he doesn't under. It's not getting through, and I have to repeat it. But then again, you have to repeat for all kids, right? No matter what it is.
Yeah, but it's
But
twice as hard for you. Yeah.
yeah, but for him, I just afraid that he doesn't understand the good and the bad. It seems like everything's rainbows and butterflies. But I mean, maybe. But then again, sometimes I feel like it works because sometimes I learn from him. I don't know about you guys. I sometimes learn from my kids, like things that maybe he should be angry about. He doesn't get. It doesn't seem like
Yeah.
he's angry about it.
Doesn't
But then
bother
I'm
him.
angry, and then I'm like, if he's not angry, why should I be angry? And then I sometimes I look at it as in why, yeah, is he, why should I be angry? Because it wasn't, probably wasn't even that big of a deal or something, right?
Mm,
Or and
mm.
then because I'm geared towards growing up too, like a survival mode, right? You took my lunch money, I'm gonna get you back or something, right? Right? But maybe kids nowadays, oh, it's okay, thinking more positive now. Well, maybe they need it more, right? But for me, it's like no, an eye for an eye or something, right?
Right.
But sometimes I feel like um, kids teach us too. For some reason, I feel like I'm learning from my kids about. So that's why when we're saying like maybe this new generation, how we see it, oh, they're not going to survive. This is a harsh world. But maybe because we're getting older, eventually we'll die off, right? And then they'll be running the show, and maybe their mindset of butterflies and rainbows will then work, right? So,
Yeah, no,
right?
absolutely. I think about the same thing too. I think because they're the way they are, if we don't interfere, when by the time they run the show, it's a paradigm shift, right?
Right.
Sometimes maybe you need to change the rules of the game naturally that way. Because if we keep reinforcing the same kind of mindset that we had growing up, things will stay the same. It's a tough world. It's a dog eat dog world out there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but sometimes I think that maybe if we let things be, perhaps that paradigm shift will happen. I don't know. The way I see it is that talking with more and more, uncles, especially today with you guys, I feel that because we suffer some trauma from our generation, we act sort of as filters or shields and try to filter out some of the unnecessary experiences that they don't really have to go through, because not all experiences are constructive or are teachable moments. Some of it is just pure bullshit. It really is. It really is just
Right.
bad experiences. And I think because we've suffered so much of that growing up in our generation, I do see more and more fathers and mothers trying to just filter out a lot of that unnecessary stuff and just condense it to like the best experiences that they can get, both good and bad. Bad meaning the tough experiences that toughen them up. I think that's how I see our role as parents. I don't know. I think you guys are doing the same thing.
Did I have a question about that to both of you? How do you feel? This is one thing that bothers me, and I'm thinking about it is that, it's like for us, we try to raise our kids in a sense that, to be a good person, right? To be considerate, to be honest, and all
Mm.
those things, right? But we can't expect them to. Not all his peers are going to be like that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you deal with the parents who will teach their kids that, what, you cheat to go ahead, to get ahead, don't care about those other people. And, it's sort of the feeling that, what, I taught my kids to do everything right. But what when the time comes when he does everything right, but he meets somebody who will take advantage of him? Or how
Mm.
do you deal with that, right? Because you can't control other parents, right?
No, and you can't control their kids too.
Right.
So
And so as we see in the world today, most of the people who are powerful have some sort of psychosis to them.
Yeah, they're psychopaths,
How,
right?
right. So how
yeah,
do you deal with that, right?
It's a real dilemma. It's kind of like what happened to me a couple of years back. Most of the listeners who have followed along until now knew that I was in a vehicular accident 3 years ago, and it's the same dilemma that I had because the person who ran the red light and hit me, um, he's that kind of person that you're talking about, Brian. He's the type of person who just it's anybody's fault but his. Like he was not raised correctly. He was just, as far as he was concerned, like, yeah, what an inconvenience. You got in the way and I happen to hit you. Now I'm in all this trouble. It's like it's never his fault. And how do you deal with a person like that, right? Like there's no getting through to them. We try to live our life correctly. We follow the rules. Like in our case, this specific incident, we didn't run a red light. We waited till we were on the green. It was our turn to go. We followed the rules. But this other person, because that person was selfish and impatient, didn't want to wait, ran a red light, and nearly killed me, right? And then I had to suffer months and months of intense pain because of that, and I still do. So what do you do with a person like that? It's a real dilemma. Or how about that time when I was living in Shanghai, right? And I remember I was taking my son out for a walk, and he was still, I think, about 6 or 7 years old at that point. And then this kid just runs up to him, pushes him off his bike, and grabs his bike and started riding it. Like, whoa, 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 what's happening here? Like, so we try to teach our kids to be respectful, mindful of other people, ask for permission. But what if other kids don't do that and they just do something like this? What do you do as a parent? It freaks me out. Like, I got upset, obviously, and I confronted the kid and I confronted the parent. But then even the parents with if their values are not accurate, they just basically told me, hey, so what's the big deal? It's just a bike, you know. So at this point, you just have to gauge at what level do you respond. There's this notion
But
of necessity and appropriateness, right? For every
right, but
situation.
that's even the more painful part because I try to dig even deeper. The problem with that is the more painful part is because of the way that we grew up, the way we were raised, we will never cross that line to get to a
Exactly.
point where
Yeah. But
they
some
are.
people just they
And
just
that's
cross that line all the time, right? They don't have any regard for other people, right? So
right. So it's the
yeah.
painful part is we can't cross that line even if we wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, it's just not the way we were raised. So as a person in that situation, I find that the challenge for us is to at what level do you respond? The first thing I go into my analysis mode, which is like, okay, what's the gravity of the situation? So that necessitates, or what is appropriate, what's an appropriate response for this situation? It's tough. Like you have to take extra steps, whereas the other person just doesn't give a shit. They don't even think that much about what they did, right? As far as they're concerned, they're not wrong. Whereas you're trying to analyze the whole thing, trying to see what's the best level of reaction that you should be giving out to the world. It takes more work and it's never easy. And until this day, I hold a lot of bitterness and I'm angry, especially that person who hit me. Um, I can't forgive that person, right? Because that person wouldn't apologize properly, didn't show any real remorse. But what do you do with a person like that? We live in a society now. It's not like you can just pick up a gun and shoot him, right? So it's like we use the tools that we have. In this case, we go through, the courts, we go through the legal system. A lot of the times the resolution isn't really a satisfying one. You just feel that the punishment is not really appropriate for the crime. But you can't just be, barbaric and take the law into your own hands. Get into more trouble that way. I think that's part of growing up, right? But it's a bitter pill to swallow. Yeah, until exactly, Brian. I don't know. That's a good question. I still don't have a good answer for that.
There's no
Right, and
really
and that
good
and
answer.
that is why we are not billionaires.
Yeah,
Very
these
cutthroat. But
unscrupulous,
nowadays, I mean,
you know.
I well, I feel as I think we grew up where we can we I think we I should say this. People think like the current generation, the young generation are soft, right? And people make comments like, oh, the people that even in the military, oh, these kids are soft. But back in the day, these are hardcore men that were in the military and stuff like that. And then, um, and then back then, when when someone does something bad to you, like take your bike, or like I was saying, take your lunch money or whatever, the consensus back then was like, well, you got to fight back, right?
Yeah, to
Be a
punch him in the
man, right?
face, right? That was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
concern.
exactly. You know, they did it to you, so don't take it from them, right? Don't be, be a man, stand up for yourself, and punch them back. That worked back then when there was maybe less guns around, but nowadays even though maybe I could, I'm sort of afraid to do that because there's all this repercussions, right? Like Vic, you're saying, if I punch back, then I might have to go to court, and then the guy who actually started the fight might win, or the
Yeah, exactly.
right,
Yeah, that's the kind of
or
messed
they
up
might,
system we live in right
yeah,
now. Right.
or
Yeah.
they might pull out a gun. Nowadays, it's so common. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
no one knows how to fight anymore because everyone just pulls out a gun and starts shooting at each other.
Yeah.
So I feel like the for me, I was this came across a few weeks ago, or maybe it was last month, but um, or my kid. I think it was just an accident. So I think, and my son is in a special needs class, so I think it wasn't on purpose. Like he really wanted to, hit my son or anything. It's just because of their uh, I don't want to say it non PC, but say their situation status, what their condition, their mindset, um, where my son was probably took something that he wanted, but instead of doesn't know how to, because with the special needs guys, a lot of people don't know how to express themselves properly. So
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
asking it, can I see the book or the toy, whatever it was, he hit him instead, right? And then that got out, and the teacher told us, and told his mom too, and his mom like, oh, you should hit him back, right? And then my mom is also, which is grandma, is saying, oh, you should hit him back too. And I'm like, well, I understand the situation. I don't think he didn't where he intended to hurt my son. It would just, he doesn't know how to properly express himself. But then again, even if it was a normal kid, I felt that the best way wasn't to react and, to fight with him. Um, Although I do like it that kids do, even adults, learn how to defend themselves, um, if the situation comes about. But even say I practice martial arts, but the whole point of it is to be able to practice self defense, right? It's not so I can go out to the bars and beat people up, right? So it's really for to know that I can handle myself in situations if it needs to be, that I can protect myself, but it's not for me to start a fight or even to react to a situation. The best reaction is still say, "Hey, I don't want trouble," right? Uh, and back off
Yeah,
and
I
run
hear
away.
you.
And
I,
not
I think
run away, but like just back off. Hey, I don't want trouble here, right?
Yeah, I think we just have
No
to be
trouble,
realistic about our strengths and weaknesses, right?
right?
If it's obviously a fight that you can't win,
Right.
maybe it's best to retreat and reassess your game plan and
Mm-hmm.
strategize again. I just think that just being a realist is probably like a good, solution to what we're talking about is
Right.
if the situation at the moment, what's the best call of action at this present moment? You
Mm-hmm.
try to make a best educated guess at that point and try to implement that. If it's clearly a retreat, because you just can't win, and perhaps it's best to just draw back a little bit, right?
Right. Well, even if you can win, right? Even if you're bigger than the other kid, I think still the best decision is to, hey, not to instigate it more. We
Yeah,
all,
but like you said, even if you're bigger and stronger and you get to beat up the other guy, with the way things work now in the world is what's to stop them from suing you or like
yeah,
manipulate the system to get what they want. I
exactly.
usually tell my nephews, yeah, and Brian knows this, like we both grew up in a Catholic school. We both grew up in the Jesuit school. So we have something called Days with the Lord. Brian was my kind of like my sponsor. He was the guy who took took the the class. I don't know if you call it class before I did, and so like you get to you get to be in charge of collecting well wishes, the letters for the people that follow you in the next class. And so now I'm old enough to do this for my nephews who are also in the same school. And what I keep telling them is because they're now young men, and one of the things that I firmly believe in is that I think there's more harm or evil done in the world, not by evil men, but really from people who are just ignorant and weak. I think that's a bigger calamity than being outright evil. Because a lot of times I notice that most of the bad things that happen in the world are from people who don't have a spine. Because of their weakness, they cause harm and pain to the people around them. Whereas if they themselves were brought up right and had integrity and did the right thing, it would be so much better for everyone else. And so that I think is the major problem with the world today, as I see it, is just young people who are not raised right. They're not out there to explicitly be, I'm evil, I want to kill people, I want to hurt people. No, they're not like that. But because of their ignorance and their weakness, they end up hurting a lot of people. And I think it's the same thing going back to my example about the person who hit me. I don't think he's evil. He doesn't want to like go out there and murder somebody or just unalive someone. That wasn't his intention. But because of his weakness, he caused the family a lot of pain, right? First by breaking the law, and second by not being sincere in apologizing and blaming like he's always the victim. He's never the guy who does a bad thing. He's blaming everyone but him. It's like, oh, it wasn't me. It was the weather. I couldn't see that well that night, and oh, I was just too tired. And him not apologizing after the fact, like he never came to apologize. It just shows a weakness of character. I think that's really the issue with the world today. That's
Yeah.
my view, at least.
And let me ask you a question. How much do you think of that is self-preservation,
But
and
definitely
how val
100%
and
self-preservation. He's trying to
how
weasel his way out of it,
right,
right?
how valid is that self-preservation
Yeah,
in
I
your
mean,
opinion?
I think, of course, everyone by instinct um, would want to self-preserve, preserve your life, right? You wanna protect yourself and what's good for you, of course. But I think because of the weakness in character, you can't face up to the fact that you were wrong, right? I think that's what separates a great man from a man with no integrity. Just somebody who, because we all mess up. It's not like we're perfect, right? Everybody makes mistakes, but it's like what you do after you messed up. That's what counts, right? So
Yeah.
you hurt somebody. Are you going to make excuses for it, or are you going to own up to it like a man, right? So I think that's the issue, really. And at the end of the day, I think to answer your question, Brian, about protecting our kids and how much of it we let in, yeah, the harsh reality is I don't think, we can fully protect anybody, right? We all know that life will happen, it will happen. I think all we can do is instill the right values so that when it does come, they make a smart decision. It's not all just bravado and integrity. Like you got to make a balance between self-preservation and, making the right call as a man. Just instill the right values, and when the crap happens in their lives, they can deal with it even when we're gone from this world. I think that's the best anybody can hope for.
I also think, yeah, we shouldn't. I think in the as Asian parents or in the Asian culture, they like to shelter the kids a lot. So I felt I was even sheltered a lot growing up. Um, I don't know if it's intentional or not intentional. Just maybe my mom is just more of a control freak, but um, we, Taiwanese have
No,
those
it's
moms
true.
too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Asian
and
parents.
then
I mean,
so
I find myself doing that to my kids. You try
yeah,
to shelter them
so
as much as you can, right?
yeah, and then a lot of it is just not letting them do things like don't do that, don't do this, and then we don't get to experience it. Like for me, a lot of emotions, even a lot of coping skills, I never developed because I wasn't allowed to mess up or feel these bad feelings. So when I went out when I was out in the real world, even like breaking up with a girlfriend or getting news that I'm gonna go blind, I couldn't deal with all like a negative,
Yeah, yeah, I
and
hear
then like this negativity. I didn't know how to cope with it because I never had the chance to sort of learn how to cope with it because I
so
was
you
just
need some
always
of that
told no,
hardship
don't.
too, right? To build character. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah,
we're
it's
always
a, it's a
told.
constant balancing act, no?
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
think.
So it's not easy, yeah, right? Because we're I mean I do it too now with my kids. Like just don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. But if they don't do it, sometimes it's like oh, if, of course we don't want them to have harm. But if they don't touch the stove, they don't know that the stove is hot and they could burn their hand, right?
Yeah.
It's right. So, but it's really it's really hard. Yeah, it's a really hard thing to sort of gauge on how much to hold them back and how much to let go of the reins to let them experience life because there's some things we have to learn from experience and um,
So yeah, going back to the Asians and us, I think it's just a matter of balance. Yeah. I mean, it has to be the right balance between the good and the bad, pain and pleasure. It has to sit at a balance. And then all these experiences come to you. Some of them toughen you up. Some of them, makes life worth living, makes it a bit easier. Yeah, it's just the way I see it. Maybe just that's the best we could hope for, just balance.
right,
We could
let the
always sit at the
world do
beach
its thing.
somewhere in Hawaii and enjoy a enjoy a drink and meditate to find that balance.
That's
Hey,
one of
that's
the things
Do
about
that. You
that's
could
one of the
go
things
to the
about
beach
living
right now.
over here
Yeah.
is that, I live like maybe 2, 3 blocks away from the beach, but I hardly go. You take it for granted because it's just down the street.
It's always like that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
supposed to
that's
be so
gonna be
I
one
can
of the
really
one of the
go.
stops for the Uncle's World Tour. Hawaii.
Right.
Well, we could go
Uh,
on and on and on about all this stuff, but I think we covered a lot of really, deep issues, speaking from the heart. So yeah, see, this is therapy, right?
right.
This is
That
therapy. I
is
think
therapy.
for all
Yeah.
for the three of us, we get to talk to each
Right.
other. It's good therapy.
Good therapy. Good good fatherhood bonding here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good uncle
We don't have
bonding.
to
Yeah.
go, through the words of wisdom for each person in the podcast anymore. Like we dropped so many truth bombs today. I think
Oh
we don't have
man.
to, because usually our last segment is like, we'll leave you with words of wisdom. Now, but we've been doing
Yeah.
that throughout the whole episode. I think that's enough.
Just listen to the whole episode. Right? That's
Yeah,
the whole. That's the whole nugget of wisdom. That's the whole takeaway message. The whole
yeah,
episode. Uh, but okay, so I'll close this out. But thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Please
yeah.
like and
Thanks, guys.
subscribe. As remember, sharing is caring. All right. So again, I don't know how to. What did we do last night? Uncle's rollout.
It doesn't matter. Just go to Hawaii.
Oh, there we
Make sure you have
go.
money. Enjoy the
Go
beach.
Let's go to Hawaii. Yeah.
All jokes aside, thank you, Brian, for showing up to our episode today. We really appreciate it.
And
Yes.
thank you
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
me. I'm so, very happy to see you again after
Yeah,
a
let's able to
couple of
see you.
decades.
Check out my expensive microphone just for you.
I know I
Oh
saw it.
man.
Ooh.
I was gonna make a comment about it, but you beat me to it. You already acknowledged
Oh
that you
no,
had a
no,
fancy
no.
mic.
Reynolds should know I don't use this
Yeah.
expensive mic for every episode, only for
No,
special
no,
occasions.
no. Right? He only shows it for when it counts. Right?
That's how
He's
you
trying to
know you're
impress you,
special if
Brian.
I bust out the good one. Yeah, there you go.
He's trying to impress you or something.
Well, I want to go to
All right.
Hawaii and I want him to show me around. So
Oh, I see. Some
Yeah,
hidden agenda right there.
but we hope you come back again sometime to our
Yes.
podcast. Maybe we can do more therapy.
Yes, definitely.
sure, anytime.
Yeah,
Thank
there's
you.
so much stuff we have, yet to talk about. So there's a
Yes.
lot of stuff we can go into.
Yep, we
Yes.
barely scratched the surface.
Yeah,
There we go.
exactly.
We'll leave everyone with a
Ta-dam.
cliffhanger.
All
All
right.
right. All right. So everyone, please come back. Please join us again. And that's it for now. Thank you.